Hello, 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 and welcome to another live coaching. It is the 11th of May, and the last time I saw you guys, I had just come back from a really good weekend in Denmark, and I haven't windsurfed since then. That was a lot of fun. It was a really good weekend, some really good action, and Sunday was intense. I don't know how cold it was. It was particularly cold for that time of year, and I ended up getting pretty sick. And so then I got put on antibiotics at the end of the week. My energy, my body, I started getting really achy, and then I had terrible sore throat. Yeah, and I ended up with strep throat. So I don't know if it was something from the windsurfing session on Sunday, and I got really run down because it was cold. I'm not sure what it was, but anyway, I'm on the mend. I'm feeling better, and on the antibiotics they work, and yeah, so things are improving for me. And but anyway, I haven't been on the water since then, but it was a good session. I got some good footage. I'm going to make a little video about the footage. Here's a reel. Oh, how do I just want to mute it. How do I do that? I'll talk about it once it's done. I don't see how to mute it. This is from my Sunday session. Was pretty cool to have stopper attack condition. Difficult spot, but bunkers, not where we normally windsurf, but a lot of fun. All right, I'm gonna get into the chat, get into the group, get into the questions. Remember, you can post your photos, videos, ask questions. We've got some new members. Say welcome. Um, Post your comments, questions, videos, um, photos, wins, and frustrations. Everyone is a welcome. Cool. All right, let's get into the chat. Let's get into the group. So we got Jorg in the chat. Hello, Jorg. Good to see you. We got Ragnar. Ragnar sailed on Sunday. I saw him in Denmark as well. Greg is also still not 100%. You and me both, man. Dennis says he had 3 sessions, slalom, wave, and free wave. Awesome. We got Mark as well. Nice session to get the season going. Cool. Mike in Cornwall. No wind, but good surfing and gardening. That sounds like a good compromise. All right, let's get first question. First question is from Axel, and he says he recently managed to do a tight bottom turn on his 94-liter board when he had to avoid an abandoned kiteboard in the water. Oh, that sounds terrible. His usual turn radius. Oh, but it sounds like it's the board that made him turn tighter, so it's a good thing, I guess. His usual turn radius would have brought him dangerously close to the obstacle, and he decided to aim for a braking section close by instead of aborting the ride. So he looked really hard where he wanted to go, and boy, did that big board turn, almost as if it was directed by sheer willpower. Not sure yet if he'll be able to do similar turns without being in a stress situation, but it taught him what I say when I say, look where you want to go. Yeah, it's cool. So, yeah, and then he says, why are twin tip kiters in wave spots? I don't know that question. I don't know the answer to that. Yeah, it's funny. With turning tighter, it's so much like once you have a lot of the fundamentals for the bottom turn and you want to turn tighter, it's so much about just believing that you can turn tighter and just wanting to go tighter and aiming there. You have the ability. So there are some fundamental things that you need to get worked out in your bottom turn, but once you have them, which Axel does, he's been on how many master classes have you been on, Axel? I think he's been on 3. He's got the 4th one coming up in Morocco. If you also want to join a masterclass, go to windsurfingmasterclass.com and then you can go apply here. And There's a masterclass in Morocco on the 15th to the 21st, and also one in Gran Canaria. Anyway, so Axel has been on his master classes, so he's got good fundamentals on the bottom turn. And so, how do we get to the next steps? Now, you can always improve your technique a little bit, but for just really wanting to go tighter, it's about believing that you can, aiming tighter, just believing that you can go tighter and aiming for it. And that's what makes the difference. And so if you have that fundamental ability already there, those fundamental bottom turn skills, like if we look at Axel, right, he's already got, he's pretty square on his knees. He's getting over the center line of the board. He's got a fairly wide grip. He's not extending his knees too far over the toes. Um, he's got speed. He knows about power sections. So he's got a lot of these fundamentals that I talk about all the time. So how does he get tighter? The first step is just believing it. And that sounds so silly, but it's true. And it should be, on one hand, frustrating because the answer is so easy yet so difficult, because okay, believing it sometimes not that easy. You need a kiteboard in your way in order to be pushed into it, or maybe a coach. I think sometimes with coaching it can help. Something that I try to do when I'm trying to coach myself is I'll set up on a wave and I think, all right, I'm going to go to that section, and then my exercise for the day is, instead of going to the section that I naturally am thinking to go for, I go to the section one closer, and sometimes that's really close. Or another way to force yourself to go tighter is that when you come down from an off the lip, you automatically have to go into the next section. Now, depending on the kind of waves that you have, that might not make the tightest bottom turns, but it's an exercise that can help. And those two exercises, without the help of some kind of external factor like a kiteboard or a coach, uh, work. We got Harold in the chat. Hello, hello, hello. And Matt as well. Poor wind, but Matt is joining our Morocco Masterclass. Harold as well. Suna as well, actually. It's going to be a good time. All right, we've got a post from Dennis. So Dennis has been on the forward loop journey for a long time, and he's been posting about it in this group for the last 4 or 5 years. And I love seeing the journey. I love seeing the progress. So he says that he's been trying to focus on clean landings, and that he's now doing it in two steps. So he delays the moment that he triggers the rotation, gains a bit of height, opens the sail, points the board downwind, and then goes for the rotation. And he's wondering if this could lead to stalls. Okay, let's and then I've got some comments about stall forward. Let's make it big. Let's go back. Let's make it big. Make sure our quality is good. Make it big. So right off the bat, beautiful forward loop. Beautiful forward loop. Lots of good technique, good style, kind of tweaked out there. I love it. I've got some thoughts about style that I want to talk about at the end of the live stream. So we're gonna get into that. You can see Dennis getting the mast across into the wind and using it to push the nose downwind, help keep the rotation horizontal and controlled. It's just a beautiful rotation. I really like I really like it. Now, the question about stalled forwards, um, the short answer is yes. The long answer is, if you want to do real stalled forwards, you have to take off going in most cases. There are some where you can take off going across the wind, even some where you could take off going downwind. But the majority of stalled forwards, you actually take off more like the back. And in the air, you come up at the top, you get yourself upright and level, and then using the mast exactly like you're doing here, Dennis, you push the nose downwind. And the feeling is a little bit different. It depends. If you're in a place like Pozo, where you have a ton of wind, it can feel really like pulling the trigger, like you do on these lower forwards. But a lot of the times, and even in a place like Pozo, at least for me, the feeling is a bit different. It's like you go up, kind of like a back loop, you get on top of it, push the nose down, get the sail into the wind, and then you're falling. And then the moment you want to rotate, it's like you just fall over that back shoulder. And so it doesn't feel so much like you're pulling a trigger and you're whipping in the rotation. It's more like you're kind of falling over that back shoulder, and then it's like the rest of a fall completes the spin. Um, Sound is breaking up, Matt is saying. All right, is it better now? I think the issue is with the sound from the window, and we had this issue before, and I found out how to fix it, and now I was looking for a way to fix this, and I don't really see it, which is frustrating. Mm. So I'm not sure. I have to go in the settings, but let me know if this fixes it. Like I turn off the sound here. If that fixes it, yeah. Anyway, so hopefully this what I just said is useful. Dennis, the other thing that you can do with your technique is you can start going for tabletop forwards. And so if you get just a little bit more height, and then you really extend pushing the leg out before you push out you have to really keep the the clue open. Um, and so you want to really sheet out as you're tweaking the board. But basically, the tweak happens in this first part, and you can see that you even get a little bit of that tweak. And so it's pretty upright. It doesn't feel like a tabletop like Dennis you're used to doing, where you're throwing the board up into the air. It's more like you're upright. So let's see if we can find uh um let's see if we can find a video. Here's something from Daily Dose. So here's an example. So this is both a stalled one, like a pretty stalled one. He's got a lot of height, taking off upwind, and then he pushes everything downwind, but he's very upright, and then pulls. And this also shows what I was talking about before with not really pulling the trigger. It's kind of like you fall through it. Let's go to Continent 7. I like Continent 7 here for this stuff. Let's go tabletop forward. Oops. So let's watch this one from Dida. So I like how these look. This is kind of snappy, but it's very similar, Dennis, actually, to what you're already doing. So she's taking off downwind, unlike the one with Victor's, which was more like a stalled forward, where he's taking off upwind. And then see the board gets pushed out with the tweak, but she's upright. So the board's not to the sky at all. And you're kind of sheeting out. You can't totally see it in this angle. And then the moment you want to rotate, you've got that sail pushed all the way in across the board. Then you push down on that front hand like you do in the normal forward and pull in, and it whips you around. And they look pretty cool. There was a few more from Dida. Is this the same one? It's the same one. All right, here's a different one. Maybe we get a little bit different angle on it. So this little bit more upwind takeoff. Same thing, the board gets pushed out. She's not sheeting out that much. So generally you do want to sheet out a bit more in them. All right, you can't see Dida. So takes off downwind, pushes the board out, gets that sail across, and then pulls in. But Dennis, if you are going to go for these, what I will say is that what can happen, especially when you're learning them, is you don't rotate and you get kind of stuck in this position and then you slam on your back. So take it with a grain of Impact Fest foam, but it is something that you can move on to as one of your next moves. Let's look at a stalled forward from Dida. So she goes up, gets everything over. This is an interesting one because she is taking off more downwind. And you can see she gets over the gear and then kind of pulls it around. If we go to someone like, who's got a nice, Marino has a nice style on his. This one might be kind of too radical. But this is a good example though. You can see that he's taking off upwind like a back loop, going up, 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 and then gets over the gear, pushes the sail into the wind. There, the sail goes into the wind, right? See how, like, look at the sail compared to his body. I want to just show you that again. So it's going up like a back loop, then gets on top of the gear, and then pushes the sail into the wind. Bam! Look how far extended it is into the wind. Like, look at the angle of the mast to the board. And then, boom, fires off the rotation. Beautiful. Let's watch one from Julian Salmon. Same thing, same technique. So this is again what I was saying before. So going up like a back loop, up, 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 like up into the wind, and then you get level, and then you bring the sail across. Let's watch one from Takara, and then we're gonna go back to the other stuff. So this is more of a downwind one. Let's watch it. So he's traveling, punches it. Let's watch one more. This looks radical. This is more of an old school style. Still nice. Traveling up, 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 up. Somewhere in between, not going up like a back loop, not fully downwind though either. And he's pushing the sail across the board less. More of an old school style. Cool. Good progress, Dennis. I love it. Dennis says that the seeds are planted and that the back loop takeoff followed by forward rotation sounds scary. Yeah, and you can work up to it. Like I was saying, there are versions of the stalled forward that are more downwind and more accessible. But the tabletop, I think the tabletop forward is totally accessible. It's fun. It's a good move. I think it's something that you could work on. And in the beginning, you do like donkey kick forwards. It's not something too intimidating, and you can start getting the tweak a little bit more and a little bit more. They feel good. They look good. It makes a nice snappy 2-part rotation, and you're already halfway there. Here's some more pictures from my bunkers session. Pretty fun. All right, here is some footage from Eric, and we're doing a Flocka course, which if you're in, you're in. If you're out, you're out. It's already all done. So if you are in, look out for communication from me. We're going to have our first Zoom this week. I wanted to do it end of this week, but then I got sick and people were slow to join the WhatsApp group. So those two things made it not happen. But it will happen this week. So look out for that. But it looks like everyone's in the WhatsApp group, and we're going to talk about flockas in that. So something that yeah, we're going to talk about this in the flocka course. It's too complicated to get into in the live stream, which is actually why I'm doing the flocka course, because um, yeah, so many people want to learn it, and it's something that isn't really easy to teach in the one direction teaching. So the Flocka course is taught over Zoom. It's 3 months, and WhatsApp, and yeah, we'll do it again too. So this is our first go of it, and we'll do it again. So if you want to learn the Flocka and you missed out on signing up for the course, it will happen again sometime. This question from Joe, I think we already talked about this. So we are then caught up. This was a quick one. So what's on my agenda? What's on my schedule? What's happening? So I'm getting ready for my master classes that are coming up. I've got Morocco and Gran Canaria. I am going to do a little video. You guys wanted to hear more about this day. And so I'm going to put all of the footage in one long clip and then talk about it. And hopefully that'll be interesting. Talking. How do I turn off the sound here? Oh, there we go. So this should fix it. So yeah, these are just some clips from my session, but I have a lot more footage. And yeah, talking about it, what was going through my head. For example, this is a heavy hit. You see how much the water explodes up. That was a moment that was scary. There's some things that I would do differently if I were to do this session over again. Overall, I had a lot of fun, but I would approach some things differently. And all right, so Greg is saying there's some questions about this session. So let's check the comments. Comments. So Andre asks, is it hard for me to adapt to the low temperatures in Denmark? Yes and no. I used to really struggle with cold water, and there were two things that changed. The first was a trip that I did to Japan where it was absolutely freezing. And the video from that is actually online. Japan, Graham Ezzy, Umi, you should find it. Yeah, Graham in Japan. And yeah, so this video, I recommend watching. This was a cool experience. This was me. This was 13 years ago in Japan, and it was so cold. It was 0 degrees, snowing, and I was on a 3.7. Like we can watch here. I'll turn the sound off. We can watch some of the action. So this is me in Japan. It's just absolutely freezing, and I think I killed some of my nerves, or at least I increased my tolerance. It was so cold. It was so crazy cold, and after that, I could handle cold windsurfing a lot better. And then the second thing is, shortly after this, I did a windsurfing trip to Ireland, and I wanted a good new wetsuit because the wetsuit that I was wearing in this was pretty warm, but it was giving me the craziest rash. And I wasn't used to wearing wetsuits. I hadn't done a lot of cold water windsurfing. And so I'm sailing with it open because my neck was just bleeding from that wetsuit. And so then I was going to Ireland a little bit after this. I was like, okay, it's going to be cold. I'm going in January. I need a good wetsuit. And so I went to a wetsuit store in a surf shop in the US, and I tried on every wetsuit. The Patagonias, which I hated, to just all of them, O'Neill's, whatever. And the wetsuits that I liked the best in terms of the fit and feel were the Matus wetsuits, which is a small brand from Southern California. And the guy that started it actually sold it, which I've got to reach out to him. He actually reached out to me recently. But anyway, that wetsuit is made of a different kind of neoprene. So normal neoprene, and I'm not an expert at this, so if you have more facts, let us know in the chat. But basically, normal neoprene is made from petroleum and some chemicals that are added. And this neoprene is made from limestone and chemicals that are added. So basically, the same chemicals that are added, but added to limestone instead of to the petroleum. And it makes these little pellets. And then they make the like neoprene blocks out of it, but it's a different kind of neoprene, and so it's a closed cell neoprene that is warmer. It is warmer, and so you can wear, and it's super stretchy, and so you can wear thinner and be warmer. And so since then, I've worn pretty much predominantly Matu suits. There's other companies that make um, limestone neoprene wetsuits as well. I just happen to really like the Matu's fit and everything else. And so having really good wetsuits makes a big difference. And so not only am I able to handle the cold, I'm often in like a 3-2 or a 4-3-2 when other people are in 5 mils. So like that Denmark session, people were in 5 mils. I was in a 4 on the body, 3 on the legs, and 2 in the arms. Um, and it was fine. My hands were miserable, but I hate wearing gloves. And so I just suffer through it. My feet, I don't seem to care about my feet. They go numb or they do what they do. My feet, it doesn't matter. So I don't wear boots. But for whatever reason, my feet just go numb. But anyway, so my answer, in short, is having good equipment. And if I were to wear boots or gloves, having really good ones would make it really bearable. But for me, what I'm not used to answer Andre's question, is wearing boots and gloves. And so then, and even wearing a hood to some extent. And so that can get in the way. Because I didn't grow up wearing boots or gloves, it really affects me. And in fact, that even more affects me than the cold. So I can get used to the cold and suffer through it. But I can't get used to the dexterity changes of wearing gloves or boots. So that is a big difference. So I think I was the only person there not wearing boots and gloves, or at least maybe there were other people not wearing gloves, but everyone else is wearing boots, um, and so I was the only one not wearing either. And that is because I grew up in Hawaii and I'm just not used to it. And so the people that grew up in cold weather, they know how it works and they're used to wearing boots. Anyway, that's enough on that. Let's move on. So Jakob says he would like a video understanding how I pick waves and position myself. Yeah. Bart asks, how would I build up confidence to sail on bigger days? He's trying to gradually push his comfort zone by raising the bar small increments. Yeah, that's a great way. But anything overhead to local high is still intimidating. So I think really it depends on the place, but then really understanding how that place works. In some places, as it gets bigger, gets exponentially more difficult. And in other places, the difficulty level stays the same. There's more fear factor, and maybe there are moments that are more difficult, but it's not that much harder. So, for example, chest high Hokipa and mast high Hokipa are pretty similar difficulty levels. Once you get over mast high Hokipa and the channel starts closing out, then the difficulty level changes. But chest high or waist high to mast high, you're doing the exact same things. You're going around, catching the wave, you come into the channel, the current takes you out, and you're going around in a circle. If you're windsurfing a beach break where there is no channel, sometimes there are channels on beach breaks, but if you're windsurfing a beach break where there's no channel, maybe there's like multiple layers to the beach break, it can be really difficult as it gets bigger because then everything else gets harder. It's harder to get out. It's hard to get over the white waters. There's no openings. It's just so much harder. But there are other spots, like I just said about Hokipa or almost any point break is going to be like this, where up until a certain size, it doesn't get harder. It gets scarier, and maybe there are some harder moments, but it doesn't get harder. And you want to find some places like that in order to build up your tolerance for bigger waves, because then it's not about the difficulty, it's about the fear. And that can help you develop that tolerance and understanding of the waves without also having to level up the ability of everything else in the surf. And then you bring that back to your beach break, that confidence in the bigger waves. And then you gradually push and push and push as you build the skills. You build the skills in the beach breaks, and then you're able to get out in the bigger waves. But I tell you what makes building skills hard. You know what makes building skills hard? Being afraid. And so if you're battling the fear of the waves, it's almost impossible to build the skills that are required around those bigger waves in those beach breaks. I'm saying beach breaks, there are other kind of breaks as well. It doesn't have to be just beach breaks. What I'm making a distinction between is a break where the difficulty doesn't change based on the size up until a certain point, and a break where every half meter that it gets bigger, the difficulty also increases. And uh, those are two categories of spot, right? And if you predominantly sail that second category, where it's getting more difficult, it's going to be hard because your fear is going to hold you back from developing the skills. And so then if you can go somewhere where you can develop the fear tolerance, then you can go back and develop the skills and start building from there. Um, I hope that makes sense, because it's a little bit of a complicated answer, but it is the answer. And then the other thing to do is to really choose a kind of windsurfing that you can fully commit to. I remember we were talking a few years ago about getting used to bigger waves in Lista. I can't remember who made the post, but anyway, it was about Norway. I remember that, and it was about getting used to bigger days there. And he was going for the same kind of lines that he was used to going to when it was small. So going close to the lip, and then he would bail because he was scared. And so my advice, and it is advice for anywhere, is you have to choose a line that you can commit to 100%. And so if you're on a bigger day, you're going to choose a different line. And so you're going farther from the lip. Maybe you're not turning as tight. You're not doing aerials. You're not going for off the lips. Maybe you're not even doing turns at all. Maybe you just catch the wave, you go straight to the channel. A lot of people, their first time windsurfing jaws, that's what they do. They're not even doing turns. They just catch the wave, they go straight to the channel. And then you start building up, doing more turns, making those turns tighter, and then maybe you even build up to hitting the lip. And that can happen over a single day, over weeks, or over years, whatever it takes you to build that fear tolerance. Um, so anyway, I hope that's helpful. Uh, Good question. All right, I think we have a few more nestled in here. So Ragnar wants to know what goes through my head. Yeah, so I would like to talk about that. So I'll put all the footage on a timeline and I'll talk about it. Greg says that I don't seem to look much at the top turn spot around the clue. Yeah, so there's a few reasons for that. Well, one of the main reasons is that you are mainly looking around the clue when it's more side shore or side on shore, and the more offshore it is, the less that's valid. It still can be valid, and it will still help you turn tighter, even in offshore conditions. But the less, but the more offshore it is, the more offshore the wind is, the less that's the case. And maybe I should have been doing it more. This was my first time on the water after 2 months after we had our baby, and I was in Hamburg. There's some moments where I'm looking around the clue, but mostly my turns are not that tight. So here I am actually looking around the clue. You just can't see it. So like in this one, Greg, if you're still in the chat, I am looking around the clue. So I'm looking around the clue, and I'm then coming up here And that moment of looking around the clue is at the bottom of the bottom turn, right? So it would be here. If I was to do a more vertical turn, it would be here, but I'm not doing a vertical turn at all. Instead, I'm going for this crazy curling lip, trying to get a high five there. Those kind of turns are crazy. We don't have another one. So there are some moments, and it has to do with the wind direction, and it has to do with the kind of turns that I'm doing. And it's like here, I'm not sure exactly where I'm looking here. It's a little bit around the clue. It's definitely not around the front of the mast. It might be a little bit through the window of the sail. And then I'm not going that vertical. Like that's not a very vertical turn. This off the lip felt crazy. It's so hard to tell how much power is in this wave when it's throwing, but there's a lot of power. Like look how it explodes off the bottom. Yeah, I'm gonna make the video about this, and I'm going to talk about what's going through my head and everything. Hopefully that answers your question. All right, guys, we're caught up. I will see you next week, Sunday. If you or somebody you know would benefit from joining a masterclass, the schedule is on windsurfingmasterclass.com. And we've got openings in Morocco from June 15th to the 21st, Gran Canaria, July 21st to 27th, and also in Maui in September. This says August and September, but actually it's just September. The dates are going to be announced. I know some of you guys have already applied. You will be accepted. And I need to nail down the dates. What's been delaying that is my arrival on Maui is a little bit uncertain when I leave Europe, but it's going to be in August. So I now know that it's going to be in August, so I can nail down those dates in September. I wasn't sure before, and so I was even thinking about doing the masterclass in August, which would be a good time also to do a masterclass there. But I will not be doing it in August because my date has moved back a little bit from when I was originally going to fly back to Maui. All right. So yeah, so if you know someone or if you yourself would like to improve and level up your windsurfing, apply. All right. I am going to sign off and feel better. See you next week, Sunday. I'm going to be looking to get some windsurfing in. I might go up to Denmark for a little bit at the end of this month. If anyone else is going there, we can have another get together. We had a nice Masterclass alumni get together last weekend, and it'd be fun to do something again. All right.